Hi, I'm Isai Casares. I'm the lead ministry pastor at Northwood Church, and we are so glad that you are continuing our series in the book of Ephesians. Now, I want you to think about a time when you felt like an outsider. Maybe you were the new kid to school, or starting a new job, or maybe you moved into a new community, right? What does that feeling remind you of? I think that sometimes when we think about going into a new place, it's intimidating, right? Why? We don't know the culture of the place. Maybe we don't know the different things and stories that those places bring, but also maybe we're new because we're learning new skills. There's so many different things that can make going into a new space feel like an outsider. But what about those times when you went into a new space and you felt welcome, like you belong? Thankfully, I can say that the times that I felt like I most belonged was when I was new to roles in ministry and new churches. There was just this heart of hospitality that helped me feel like I belong. And I pray that that's all people's experiences when they come into contact with the family of God. And that's exactly what we're looking at in the book of Ephesians. We're going to be in the section of chapter 2, 11 and on, but I'm really going to focus today on this then and now of then we were outsiders, but now in Christ we belong. We're part of the family of God. So I'm going to focus on two verses. We're going to go to Ephesians chapter 2, verses 18 and 19. And this is what it says: "For though through him we both have access in one spirit to the Father, so then you are no longer strangers and aliens, but you are fellow citizens with the saints and members of the household of God." I love this section right here because it kind of starts with these things that you were without, the things that you were missing out on. In fact, we find in this section, starting in verse 11, there's 5 witouts. You were without Christ, without a Messiah, without citizenship. You were excluded. You were strangers, without hope. And it's like, whoa, Paul, calm down, right? There's so many withouts, and it's reminding you of that then life. Why was it important? Well, so that we could be appreciative and really embrace the now life, the belonging part of being in Christ. Because it's so important to understand here, Paul is teaching this young church about the unity that we need to have as a family. And so if we don't understand that our role is to belong, then we might exclude one another without thinking about it. Now, he uses this language of citizenship a lot that was important. Now, he uses it to talk about citizenship to Israel or to the group of people that were in Palestine. But really, for those that were Gentiles, the language that they really understood was Roman citizenship. And so to be alienated from that meant that there was privileges that they were not going to have. They weren't going to have access to certain legal rights, financial opportunities to be able to move up and to have resources and connections that others just didn't. And so this without language alienated strangers, right? Being just immigrants without really protections or provisions made you feel vulnerable and excluded, an outsider. And so this was so important for Paul to resonate with everyone that we've all felt that. We've all felt like we didn't belong, like we were outsiders. But now, and this is what I love, this transition into the in Christ part, the now in Christ, what do you have? You've been brought near, right? That feeling of feeling distant from God or from others, it brings about pain. It brings about loneliness, right? But now in Christ, you've been brought near. He is our peace. He has made us one. We are a new person. You've been reconciled. You have access to the Father. You have access to God. You're citizens with the saints. You're of the family of God. Then you were outsiders, but now in Christ, you've been brought near. And so I want us to think about this then and now story as we listen to this family.
So my name is Martin Carvajal. This is my wife Beatrice.
Hello.
Growing up in church, you know, it's really easy to be in fellowship with other kids, with other members of the church, and that was my upbringing. It was going to church every Sunday. But then you grow up and you become an adult, right? And then you start making your own decisions. And unfortunately for me, once I left my household, was not go to church anymore as often?
My upbringing was different. I grew up in the Catholic Church, but going sporadically, only meeting the requirements to, satisfy that. So it wasn't fully filled. I always knew, Jesus was with me, God. I always believed, but never really found a place of belonging.
Growing in that environment, it leaves a hole inside of you that, it doesn't matter what you do and what you're doing, it can never be filled. And I didn't know what that was. Push a couple of years after that, and then I got married. I met her, we had kids, and that void's still there that we need to fill it with something, with someone. And then the kids, they require that attention as well. And that's when one day driving just, from the office to home, I see Northwood Church and Espanol as well. So Espanol was growing and it was needing help. Obviously I grew up where the pastor was focused on the preaching, on the teaching to the congregation, and I see my pastor playing the guitar. And as awesome as that was, I felt that there was a need to connect myself with the worship team and to assist, even in a small portion if I could. We talked about it for a little while, and I told her I'm a little afraid because for me, once you commit to something like that, it's a true commitment.
So I was timid about joining and putting myself out there, but definitely when I came into church and the pastor definitely encouraged us to join those next steps and know what it's about. It opened up my heart.
The congregation embraces you. It has grown exponentially as well, and just overall the different activities and the different things that are offered, opportunities, whether it's a group, a weekly group. If you want to grow, if you want to learn more about God, the opportunities are always there and provided to you. Now the void that was there, it's filled. It's filled because we found that fellowship again. We're back in the right track. We're right in the path that we're supposed to be. And God continues to answer and to bless us with different things day in and day out. So for me, that's what it's about.
Give yourself that opportunity to meet somebody and talk about the word, ask questions. That definitely you won't be shut down. There's a lot of wonderful people that come to church and are ready to express those words. And so that for me has been instrumental in changing my life.
It doesn't matter where you go, but until you take that chance, you're going to find out that what you're looking for has always been there all along. All you got to do is just ask God for the direction, and then just, come on over. Whether it's, just connecting with someone one-on-one, whether it's, maybe coming in on a Sunday and listening to worship and the Bible study, right? Take a chance. And what do you have to lose? Nothing, but you have a lot to win. Yeah.
What a powerful story to hear of a family that felt like outsiders, like they were far from God, and now they belong. They're connected to the family of God. They've embraced the riches of God's goodness and come into this new life, into this new family. And so as we close out this time, I want us to think about when or do you feel like an outsider? Is that something still that comes to mind, or is it something that you feel an angst about? Maybe you attend group and you go to church, but you still feel like an outsider. Well, I want to remind you that in Christ, you are family, that you do belong, and that is a spiritual reality. But sometimes we just need to pray, Lord, let me embrace this, receive this, because it is mine in Christ. Or maybe you feel like, no, I feel at home at Northwood. I feel at home in my group. And you're just having a great experience living into these truths today. Well, then I would invite you and challenge you to look around. Outside of your community, outside of your circle, are there people that feel like outsiders? Pray for that radar, to have that awareness. Is there somebody that feels like an outsider that I can help feel near to God, that you can extend His peace and His hope so that they can also experience that then they feel like outsiders, but now in Christ, they belong to the family of God.